What is good, Lottery Stocks fam? We got a lot of stuff to talk about. I'm sorry I didn't upload yesterday. I was gone for the day, but let's talk about Bitcoin, GameStop, a lot of theories that we have coming into next week, AMC, the SPY, and then Tesla. That is what this video is going to be about. So watch until the end of the video, like the video, subscribe to the channel for me, and drop a comment down below. All of that is free, and that is all I ask since I research, edit, upload, record these for you guys, not in that order. Okay, first things first, what do we see with Bitcoin? Every single thing that I have talked about has come to a T with Bitcoin, but it has not with something else, and that is a SPY, and I'll talk about it in 1 second. First of all, Bitcoin came down and retested our lows. In fact, it came into my retracement zone under 102,000, and we immediately got an aggressive bounce. So lottery stocks, where do we go from here? Well, I've called it out again. You're likely going to enter a bigger Bitcoin bull run and come up past this liquidity zone anywhere above 116,000. That is my next target for Bitcoin. I believe we are scaling up to there right now. Let's talk about GameStop. We have entered this white dotted line, the first one, which would technically have been the peak of the squeeze if the algorithms were completely lined up based on the bars patterns, and you can see overlaid right here. We are technically in a point of max pressure, yet GameStop is still trading under $30. Couple things here. One, how did they stop this thing after we ran above $37? Because that's probably living rent free in all of your heads. Right now, we were on a gamma ramp. We were in a gamma squeeze, and market makers were delta hedging, loading up shares as we went higher and higher, basically in this feedback loop, aka a gamma squeeze. What happened is there was a lot of mechanics, especially in the dark pool, but market makers ended up diffusing the situation by adding more strike prices and widening strike prices, and retail basically fell for it and jumped in and diversified to higher strike prices. That way they could get in. A lot of it was just a complete mess, and a lot of times retail traders FOMO into the wrong areas, which decreases delta hedging and actually increases selling pressure on top of other mechanics that they're doing to drop the price. So let's talk about where GameStop is trading at right now. A couple things I want to note. Put very simply, from the weekly time frame, we are in a very, very, very bullish scenario. Why is that? Well, that is because GameStop has never built a candle outside of this zone before. We have only gotten wicks. This is one wick. We have two wicks right here. Then we have a third wick, I believe. Yeah, third wick right here. 4, 5, these two wicks. Finally, our first candle out of this descending resistance level. And now we had a big green candle that came out, and then a full weekly candle that built on top of it. And now we are sitting here with a little bit of a hammer candle, essentially building a spring for what I think is to come next week. That leads us into the daily time frame instead of the weekly to show you. We are also still making higher highs and higher lows on this aggressive uptrend, trading in this rising wedge. Now, a lot of times these can break to the downside and end up flushing on the stock, which would essentially bring us to maybe back up to 33.60 and then crash below this. Do I think that's going to happen? No. We are in a rare scenario, a squeeze setup with the gamma pressure still built on the option chain, which we'll talk about here. But here's what I want to state. Today, Friday, for the market close, max pain is $30. They're probably going to try and keep it under that. Secondly, we have a lot of not only tin, but things that line up for next week. Okay, some things are not tin, like the earnings, as well as OPEX, as well as shareholder meeting. So let's talk about these. First of all, Sunday is Roaring Kitty's birthday, or Keith Gill's birthday, however you want to call him. Will he open the gift? Will he open the present that he tweeted? Secondly, that would lead us into Monday, which he could post 8 p.m. Sunday night. Now, a lot of times I say, hey, there's a 50-50 Roaring Kitty is going to post, and we don't need him to post. I'm going to clear that up. We don't need him to post, but he posts on the right time, and I think it's the right time. Sunday, 8 p.m., overnight trading. There's a likelihood, I'd say probably 80 to 90% that we get a tweet from Roaring Kitty. Now, that's a high likelihood. This is in my opinion. I don't give financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Also, a tweet has nothing to do with your financials anyway, but hypothetically. But I do think there's a high chance that he tweets something on his birthday. Monday, next day, is also 6-9, which is the first trading day after. And then the 10th, Tuesday, GameStop reports earnings. Thursday, annual shareholder meeting. We have a massive week. Also, here's a little bit of tin. We are likely in the crash scenario where we crash down from Wednesday, May 28th, into where we're at now. I mean, we came down from $37 all the way down to 29 bucks. That's a hard move down. If we are at that scenario, then the Cheers is also lining up with his birthday, coming 6-9, which is also a big meme that has been in the saga. Then we have Buck the Bunny posting this power to the players with the huge green candle coming out of his glasses right here with Wildfire, which also lines up with this. Coincidentally, a scene from Game of Thrones that we seen, I believe, Roaring Kitty use right here, where this candle comes out of the, basically this red candle comes out of the candle, and then everyone's looking, and then you see green Wildfire, green candlestick, green in his eyes, green fire, right? Blows open everything, goes through to the sky, all this other stuff. Now, this is where it gets so interesting. This is season 6, episode 10, okay? This is a crazy lineup that we have coming into earnings. This is the same date for earnings, which what are they going to announce? I don't know exactly what they're going to announce here, but we do have some theories. I've questioned yesterday, what is the significance of 741? I knew it before, but I completely forgot. The 741, I mean, it's here on the timeline right here, and it's been in several Roaring Kitties and Ryan Cohen's hints that we've seen 741. Some people are saying that it is the parable of two debtors from the Bible. It's prosperity. It's all this other stuff. It's the debt backwards. It's also where they filmed signs. It's things like this. And then the Volkswagen squeeze. Porsche owns 74.1%. Volkswagen during the squeeze, which was a very unique squeeze, which also lines up with people saying that we possibly are going to have some sort of blockchain news dividend catalyst, something along the lines of that for earnings, which would all coincide with each other. All of it's a possibility. All I know is we're on the time frame for a huge move. Also, Fidelity, I believe, okay, based on this, GameStop is now hard to borrow over there, and they have no available shares to short, which perfectly preps us for next week. On top of that, here's the Gamma Rip, Max Payne. This is why they're going to try and keep it under. If we start building and we get up to 35.40 again, we get a very, very fast move to 55 and probably higher. And then GameStop posted a little bit of a tweet here. How will we ever recover from this? I don't know if they're throwing anything out there, but my brain now is forced to piece these things together as if I'm a psychopath. And we see Red Bull, Red Bull. I don't know. Moving on, let's jump into AMC real quick before we jump into the SPY, and I'll explain what's going on and what I was wrong about. And was I early or was I wrong? AMC 347. This is AMC's chart. Again, with GameStop lining up. This was also a Friday where we closed, and then Monday we saw huge moves higher, a huge gap up. So we should see a little bit of pressure build towards the end of day today into after hours for AMC if it's the same setup. But ultimately, lining up with GameStop, AMC still lines up as if we're in a huge move for a gap up Monday, and that's why I added calls to AMC and GameStop. Again, you could get smoked on all of these plays. Nothing I say is financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'll tell you right now, if nothing plays out next week, I'm getting toasted. I'm getting clapped with you guys. SPY. Here's what I have stated time and time again. I have said by this Friday, we're going to hit my retracement zone at 572 or less. We did not come anywhere close to that. We only got down to 591. I was absolutely wrong on this move on the SPY. But was I completely wrong or was I early? Well, I'd say a good mix of both. I do think that we're getting rejected at 600 here. Do I think we're now going to that retracement zone? It is more unlikely now that we go to this retracement zone only because we held 591 right here the other day, right? If we didn't hold 591 yesterday and we came lower and at least, broke below 589, then I would have stated we have still a likelihood that we come down to this retracement zone. All right, lottery stocks, what are you calling for? Well, I'm calling for a minimum of 589 open on Monday and possibly go lower throughout the week to my retracement zone. This is what I'll call for. But at minimum 589, which means I do still see a gap down on open on Monday. Again, could I be wrong? Absolutely. You just saw I was wrong right here. But this is what I'm calling for. What does this mean going forward over the next month? Well, we bottom out as GameStop and AMC squeeze. And following that, probably late June into July, SPY comes back up to 620 to 630 right here. Maybe a little bit later, maybe into August, we get 630, right? And then ultimately, fourth quarter of the year, we will enter a crash phase that was worse than what we saw at the beginning of this year. That is ultimately what I'm expecting. We also saw some data that came out today that is pushing the market up. The U.S. economy added 139,000 jobs in May, above expectations of 126,000. Unemployment rate was 4.2%, in line with expectations. The April jobs number was revised from 177 to 147,000. The headline numbers continued to exceed expectations. Then we have Trump telling Powell to cut rates more. In fact, he thinks it should be cut 100 basis points. Moving on, we saw Trump and Elon kind of butting heads yesterday. This was kind of interesting because they were just on the same side, but Elon basically wants to save money, and then Trump basically wants to dig as much debt as possible in order to get the things done that he wants to get done. And again, this isn't political. I'm just stating what's going on. And then they started going at each other a little bit rough. Elon saying that Trump was found in the Epstein files, and that's why they're not released. Elon saying that he's going to cancel Elon's government contracts, and then Elon saying he's gonna disassemble or whatever one of the important ships or something like that. That is basically, they basically have ties with each other. Elon Musk has a lot of control, so it's not good to butt heads. He has a lot of use cases for the government, for NASA, for everything, a lot of defense contracts, stuff like that. We don't want this to happen, and that's why we saw Tesla and the market flash crash downwards. But I think it was a planned event, to be honest. I think something probably got signed or happened in the background yesterday to distract a lot of people, and there was already a flush coming on Tesla. I mean, it's put very simply, it's exactly like we saw, I believe, back in 2021. Let me find it here. Yeah, it's the same thing we saw back in 2021. I mean, you're seeing it right now. Come early February, we flash crashed on Tesla after pushing higher. It's pretty easy, right? Maybe Tesla gets a relief bounce before going lower, but I do think Tesla is going to go a bit lower from here. And the same thing goes with everything else, right? We're in that same time frame where GameStop squeezes, Tesla crashes, SPY gets a little bit of a sell-off, but ultimately stays strong. Bitcoin corrects, but ultimately stays strong. We enter an altcoin season, and if you're not positioned well, you probably didn't live through the last cycle. But overall, guys, this is what I got for you for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed watching or found value out of the video. Where do I think Tesla can come up to? Possibly 320, at most 335. At any of those points, I'll be taking puts on Tesla. Even right now, it's not a crazy idea, but it's just a bit risky after how oversold it is. But that is what I got for you guys for today's video. Again, hopefully you enjoyed watching or found value out of the video. Make sure the top link is for my Discord server. I was in there yesterday chatting, right? Even though I didn't upload, I wasn't able to upload, I was in the Discord. So get in the Discord. I also post my trades as soon as I take them. We talk stocks and crypto. Most amazing people, best vibes in here. If you're not in, get in now. And it's not just that you're paying for. It's also a ton of alerts that you get, market news, analyst updates, insider trade alerts, dark pool trade alerts, option sweep orders, high success trade flow, a ton of stuff that basically give you every tool you need for the market. So get in the Discord. It's an amazing community in there. On top of that, if you want 60 free stocks and earn 8.1% APY, download Moomoo, open an account, make a deposit into here. Don't sleep on it. It's a free broker. Following that, you can get a funded futures account 50% off using code LOTTO at checkout, which is a crazy steal. You can get up to 3 accounts at a time. Custom indicator, tip jar, all that other stuff down below. Second channel, I mean to have stuff coming over here, but it's been tough to kind of edit and break everything down. I do want to update you guys on everything that's been happening personally wise, other than the finance stuff. But that is it. I love you all. God bless. Lottery Socks out.